All right, what is up, ladies and gents? Jason Ward here, Ward's Way to Fitness, coming at you again for another edition of What Diet Is This Wednesdays. So, I'm repping my warehouse hoodie today. So, if you guys are in the Halifax area or HRM, it's a great spot to go and take some swings if you're into baseball, softball. These guys are over in Sackville. Fantastic spot. Probably seen some of my videos if you're following me on Instagram. I post up sometimes when I'm there, taking some swings, getting ready for next ball season. All right, so let's get into the diet for today. Today's diet is going to be Whole30. All right, so I had to do a little bit of research on this one because I had only heard of it. I wasn't really super familiar with any of the particulars. And so I did a little bit of digging so I could give you guys my informed opinion on what it's like. So unlike most of the other diets I've talked about so far, I've never actually done this one. So I don't know what this one would feel like. I've done stuff that's similar, but I haven't done this particular version. So basically, the Whole30 is a 30-day elimination diet. All right. And I call it that because the idea is to eliminate certain foods. Okay, so just like checking my notes here, so there's no added sugars of any kind. So if you are buying ketchup, you're gonna have to get the no sugar added version. Almost every version out there has some sugar in it. Same with a lot of salsas and sauces. Like most of the time, these sauces have some added sugars in there, so you probably wouldn't be able to do these for the 30 days. That would also include honey, agave nectar, and all of those types of sweeteners as well. Those are not allowed. What else have we got? No alcohol. All right, it's pretty common on most elimination diets. No grains. This one is a little unusual for some people, but personally I tend to agree. I don't seem to handle grains well, so I just don't eat them anymore. Many people are probably in the same boat. No legumes. This is the lentils, beans, that sort of thing. You can't have any of those. Peanuts would also fall into that category, FYI. A lot of people think peanuts are a nut, but they're actually a legume, so you wouldn't be able to have them on this diet. No dairy. Again, another common irritant, so I understand why it's there. No carrageenan. That's a hard word to say. MSGs are sulfites, so these are like preservatives that are added to foods. Again, kind of makes sense to want to limit that sort of thing. No baked goods of any kind. So the idea here is not to create the baked goods from foods that are on the approved list. So some examples as I was researching, I think they mentioned like using eggs and banana to make a pancake. Can't do that. And again, I kind of understand you're trying to get away from certain mentalities and dietary foods. And then no weighing or tracking of any kind, and that includes yourself. So that's pretty much the don't do's of the Whole30 diet. And they did mention a couple of exceptions as I was looking through. So ghee or clarified butter is fine, but regular butter is not. There's green beans, sugar snap peas, and snow peas. While they're technically legumes, they are apparently okay. Vinegar and botanical extracts, coconut aminos, and salt. And I should actually do a video on salt for you guys at some point because I think that's a highly underutilized and misunderstood topic. Anyway, so those are sort of the nuts and bolts of the Whole30 diet. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think the pros and the cons here are, and we'll kind of come to a consensus at the end of the video as I usually do. All right, so pros. Honestly, it's a 30 days, right? Anybody can do 30 days. It's not that hard to go, okay, for the next 30 days, I'm going to do this, right? I really feel like if you can't follow a diet for 30 days, it doesn't really matter what your dietary preference is going to be. Like you're going to struggle. So 30 days, pretty short time frame, not a big deal. It is an elimination diet, and that can help you identify potential triggers. Some people struggle with specific foods. And if you eliminate those foods, then you can improve your health, right? And then the idea after you're done the Whole30 is to then start to reintroduce some of these foods slowly so that you can tell which ones are affecting you and how they are affecting you. So a lot of times people are not aware of how certain foods are making them feel until they pull that food out, right? So this is particularly true of stuff like dairy and grains, right? Like we're not all sensitive to these things, and sometimes it's a dose dependent response. So if you eat too much dairy, you get a reaction. If you eat too many grains, you get a reaction. Same thing can be true for beans and legumes. All of these foods are potential irritants once they reach a certain threshold in your diet. So I'm not telling people they should never eat these foods, right? But it might be helpful to know how much you can have before it starts to be problematic for your system, right? They're focused on whole foods and protein, and I am a big fan of both of these things, right? I talk about protein all the time. I think it's incredibly important, and that most people don't get enough to function optimally. I would note that I have seen people arguing that we all are getting enough protein in the Western world. They're talking about RDAs, and as you guys probably know, if you've been watching me for a while, I don't agree with the RDAs. They are a minimum recommendation, not what you need to function optimally. So they are useful for keeping you from being sick, but not from living your best life. All right. So next, the no weigh-ins can definitely be a benefit for some people. I think that certain people tend to get obsessive about the number they see on the scale, and they tie their entire identity up in reaching a certain number. Why do we need that number is always the question that I ask these people. It's like, what is so important about that number that you need to hit it? Like, I remember actually when I was competing as a bodybuilder, I had that all the time. It's like, I gotta get under 180. If I'm gonna step on stage, then I'll be lean enough. And you know what? My weight didn't matter. It was how lean that I looked. And that was more important for bodybuilding. For everyday life, I'm taking a different approach now. It's not so much what the scale says, it's more how my body feels. How do I move? Am I sore? Am I beat up? Right? If I am too heavy to do my day-to-day activities, then I need to change something, right? But if I feel good, I'm moving well, and I'm not getting sick, this is all probably beneficial. And what the scale says won't play any role in that. It doesn't matter how heavy you are. It really is just a number, an expression of how gravity is affecting you on Earth, right? It's that simple. So for some people, it can be useful to eliminate weigh-ins. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the cons. So it's not appropriate for weight loss or muscle building. If those are your goals, this diet's probably not for you. It really is an elimination diet to figure out which foods are going to fit best for you. That's it, right? If you want to use it for weight loss or like muscle building, that's not what it's for. It's not ideal for those scenarios. It's also not a long-term dietary solution. Again, it is meant to be 30 days. If you follow this indefinitely, you're not doing the program the way it is supposed to be done. And I think it is restrictive in ways that are unnecessary in the long term of your life, right? It can put unnecessary societal pressure on you, right? It's hard to go out and enjoy time with friends. You can't really go out for dinners. You can't have alcohol, right? So you can't go and have drinks with friends. These things are social activities. And for 30 days, sure, you can probably give it up, but that's not how you want to live your entire life. Let's be real, like quality of life is also going to be important. So you don't want to follow this diet long term. I feel like the selection of what's okay and what's not is a little bit unusual. I don't know why they picked some of these things and not others. Like nuts and seeds are still allowed, but I find like so many people respond to nuts and seeds that it's one that I probably would exclude if I were doing an elimination diet. But they're still in there. I don't understand what their reasoning behind the choices that they were making were. And I mean, like maybe there are good reasons. I just don't know what they are based on what I understand of nutrition, right? And then you're not weighing or tracking anything. So this is the reason why I think it's not optimal for muscle building or weight loss as well. You don't know what you're taking in. How are you supposed to make any adjustments, right? At its core, that's going to be the most important thing in your weight loss or muscle building journey. You need to track variables and make adjustments when you hit plateaus. Again, since this is only supposed to be 30 days, that's probably not going to be a big deal. But this is not something that you're going to want to follow long term. But if you're seeing success on it, you might want to try to follow it long term. And that's problematic. You don't want to do that because that can lead to problems down the road, right? So that pretty much wraps up my pros and cons. I feel like overall this would be good for some people. There's probably lots of people who have seen success with this. I think like when I was doing my research, I saw that there were over 1 million hashtags of Whole30 across social media platforms. I think it might have actually just been Instagram. I can't remember now. Like I said, I was doing my research and like taking some notes, and I next write that point down. It was just something that kind of stuck in my head there. So obviously people are seeing good success, and maybe it is a good elimination diet for you. My personal preference for elimination diets is carnivore. I think it's the optimal and the like pinnacle of elimination because you're really just eating meat, and then you can start reintroducing foods and seeing how you react. Personally, I feel like that's a better choice. It's simpler. There's not as many rules. And I'm all about trying to limit rules as much as possible to make dieting easier for people, because most people are struggling to understand why they're not responding the way they want to. And they think they're in a deficit when they're really not. They don't understand why they can't seem to make progress. All right. So personally, I probably wouldn't follow this or recommend it for anybody, but if it's working for you, I never tell anybody not to do something that's working. So keep powering through. I'm proud of whatever progress you are making, and hopefully it will continue to work for you into the future. But personally, don't think it's a great idea. Wouldn't recommend it for most people, and that's just my take. All right. If you guys liked the video today, please don't forget to like, subscribe to my channel, comment down below. If you've tried Whole30, you like it, I'd love to hear from you. If you also think it's not a great idea and you want to comment below, let me know. You want to berate me for talking bad about the Whole30 diet, please do so below. I just want to get the information out there, and I love having discourse with people discussing these different ideas. We're not all the same person. We don't all have the same ideas, so we're going to disagree about stuff sometimes. And I think that helps us all move forward in understanding things. All right. You have a great day, guys.